Okay, I debated whether or not to do this on film, but I'm going to spall some of this Rainy Buttes material and get some arrowhead type flakes off of this, because I'm going to make some arrowheads out of this material. And I just picked up this new Hammerstone. It's a looks like a sandstone, so it's not that hard. And Rainy Buttes is easy to chip. It's a lot like heat-treated stone. It's almost like dacite too. It's that soft. But the first thing I look for is a good spot to run a lot of flakes. So I think I'll be using this face as the platform for most of my strikes, to strike down in this area. Instead of trying to get a big blade out of this whole thing, I think I just might sacrifice it and skin off blades in this direction. Now I think Rainy Buttes is a petrified wood, so if I encounter any kind of grain, I'm going to probably switch my tactic here. We'll see. The grain might not matter. I mean, it might not exist in this. Let's see. It just looks like silicified mud. And I want to make sure I can take the, I can take the curve out, so to speak, or make sure there's at least a flat area in there somewhere in these flakes. So they've got to be substantially thick enough so that when I remove these areas that bend downward or upward, I still have something in the middle to work with. This stone is disintegrating actually, but it might last long enough. I'm just taking short strikes at it. I'm stopping myself from going and following all the way through. Now once I get past this short area, this other area down here is longer. If I eliminate this in my mind, I can see that these next flakes down here will be longer, hopefully, and I'll have enough mass to support strikes there. Yeah. These are long enough to make arrowheads, just barely. These are just barely long enough to make arrowheads with, but they will work. I'd rather skin that off instead of just knocking off a big chunk, but I might not have a choice. I might just have to knock off that big chunk. It'd be better if I could skin off flakes from there. I don't know. I can make a point out of it, but it's kind of chunky. It's alright though. Alright, so now I can continue skinning. might work one of these on film just so I can show you what I do with it. Those really chunky ones. They're starting to get longer. And one of the reasons why I batter the edge and brush the edge is not only to strengthen it, which helps a little bit. What it does is it gives you a more accurate idea of where the edge actually is, so you know how far up into the stone to strike. So not only does it strengthen the edge a little bit, and what that means is a strong edge will allow you to drive flakes. In case you hit low, you still drive a pretty good flake, but it gives you a good perspective on where to hit, because you know where the quote-unquote true edge is, instead of having a bunch of thin stuff sticking out, giving you a false edge. When you brush it back, you know where it's going to be firm, and it gives you a better idea where to strike. I struck real close to the edge by accident there. And because the edge was strong, it gave me a nice flake, but it's still a little bit too thin for most types of arrowheads. I mean, I can chip around the edges and make one, but to make a bifacial arrowhead, you need a fairly thick piece, or thick flake. Yeah, much better. Although it is considerably curved, there is a lot of thickness in there to give me some good opportunities for different styles. And some true arrowheads are very small, so not too worried. But there's such a variety of true arrowheads that if you give yourself room, it's better. Alright. Gives you more options. Yeah, there's a lot of room in that one, that's for sure. It's a little bit thicker than I like, but it gives you a lot of room. It gives me a lot of room to work with. Let's see, I'd like to get a long one here somewhere, at least one or two. And this is what's left. I might be able to make a larger blade out of this once I skin off this area. I use the term skin off, but what I'm doing really is removing blades off of it. Blades or flakes. Blades are typically twice as long as they are wide. Not everyone uses the same classification for blades, but that's what I use if I want to say blades. Excuse me. Yeah, pretty nice. Now there might be some flaws in this one, in the stone itself, little freeze cracks and other things, layers maybe. I don't see anything bad on this face, but there's a bunch of bad stuff there. We'll see. Alright, so if I can get another one or two, maybe three like that, that'd be nice. That one broke in the middle. That would have been ideal. That's the ideal thickness for an easy arrowhead. Now we're going to make two smaller ones. Okay. And there's probably a better way of doing this with an antler punch, vertical punch work, but I haven't had much practice with that method, so I'd probably ruin it. Let's see. Yeah, that one held together a little bit better, but it still broke. Not sure exactly why they break that way. Could be that there's too much mass at the end or something. So even if it looks like a nice flake was taken off, it could have, you never know, it might have been broken, like the one you just saw. All right. Not too bad. Pretty good, actually. I would have to take really thick ones if I want the whole thing intact, but I don't want to do that. I'd rather get more and slightly shorter than thick and longer. Kind of more bang for the buck. If you mess up on one of those arrowhead flakes, you have another one. If you take off big flakes and try to make bigger heads or bigger points and then break it in half, you've lost a lot of material there. That was kind of weird, but it's not bad. I can make a nice one out of this. This one's kind of curved, so I might not be able to make a long one. And I'm not sure if it broke that way because I hit it twice, or it's just the nature of the material. That one traveled pretty good. I'm losing part of my hammerstone too, so I got to be careful how I hit, because I could hit in a weird way and crack this in a weird way and cause lots of steps. Too close to the edge. Nice. Very nice. There's a little inclusion of something there. It looks pretty solid. Too close to the edge. That would have been a nice one too, I think. Oh well. Yeah, I made sure I hit very high on that one. Maybe too high. But it gives me a lot of options on that one. There's some weird things going on here with this texture. So you never know what you're going to get, I guess. don't work very much with rainy buttes. So far so good. I really like the material. I've done a couple arrowheads before this from small flakes, waste flakes that other people have gotten rid of, and it seemed really good. So hopefully this will be just as good. Yeah, that's what I was hoping for. As wide as I could and as long as I could. That's really nice. A little bit large for a true arrow point, but it was good. I'll take it. Percussion is so difficult, you know. I tried to make a flake not quite as thin as the other one, but then I made it way too thin. And I hit up here, but some of the stone caught the edge and took off a little flake. That just means I didn't brush it enough. Nice. And I'm holding it kind of loose. I'm not gripping anything really tightly. And as I'm getting further and further into this mass, I'm doing it more snappy to make sure I have enough resistance. And that one came off really nice. I'm hitting these really crisp now since this is getting kind of light. I can't depend on this mass to give me the proper amount of resistance, so I'm increasing the speed. But it's second nature. I don't really think about that when I'm doing this. I have to think about it just to explain it. I have to think about what I'm doing. But I don't normally do that when I'm spalling. I just have the flake in mind, not the technique. And here I'm explaining the technique. I'm forgetting the technique for just a second and focusing on the flake, and then I come back and I try to explain the technique. So I'm hitting really crisp now, trying to get a nice contact, nice resistance from the stone. It's getting kind of lumpy, so it's risky to hit this. You should really work with a more regular or flat surface. But I think this will work. It's really easy to chip. Yeah, okay. I don't even know if that was in the frame when I hit that. But anyway, I hit that really high just to make sure. And that's pretty good. Might be able to get one or two more, maybe one more good flake from that before it becomes good for a projectile point by itself. I'm going to be able to use this core and reduce it down into a point too. Instead of discarding this, if I take off one more good flake, or even if I don't, I can still use this for an arrowhead. Let's see if I can remove one more good flake. Now it'd be nice if I could hit here and remove this mass, but that's, I don't know. We'll try it anyway. That's risky. It's a long shot. Ah, it broke up. But at least this one looks pretty good. Yeah. Okay. All right. So I got several good ones. Several what you would call classic flakes for projectile points. Yeah, these are the best ones because they're longer ones, substantial. Let's see, that's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 really good ones, and then you get the smaller ones. One, 2, 3, 4. This could be included in one of the good ones. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Maybe 10 other ones, because they're not all that good. 10 and 10, or 11 and 11, 22. And I'd say 1 out of every 4 of those will break during manufacture. So 22, 1 of every 4. So you might get like 16. I mean, might get maybe 15 points out of that. And I didn't weigh it beforehand. Alright, it's already 23 minutes, so I'm going to save this one for some other time, because I got enough to work with right now. Okay, that's it. Oh, and just in case you're curious, there's the debitage. Debitage from reducing the core. It's the dark material. There's a bunch of other stuff mixed in, but you can see not much debitage involved, and I got quite a bit of usable material. So in core reduction, there's not much debitage involved if you do it efficiently, but I think there's going to be a lot more debitage involved in reducing this over here. In fact, I know it is. There's lots more debitage involved in actually creating finished points from flakes than there is involved with knocking blades off a core. As long as the core looks fairly good, you're not going to have much waste. It's all going to be in the reduction of the actual flakes. Okay. And one more thing. In all that debitage, there was one flake that looks like it can be hafted as is. I don't think there's another one like this. It already has a point. It already looks thinned. It can be hafted as is with minimum modification. But only one. Now, if you reduce, let's say, 100 of those blocky pieces and get maybe one of these for every block, or maybe one for every 2 blocks. It seems like you're actually manufacturing these, but you're not. Just thought I'd bring that up. I thought this was kind of cool looking. But no, this is not my end goal when I'm doing this. Okay.